Well, it's a good idea. Yeah. 'Cause I know those swings are so great.
At this time, we're gonna call to order the July 3rd, 2024 work session. As typical, we've got department heads here to provide reports and updates. We'll also talk about items on the agenda. I will note that there was a late item added. 7147, which I'll have Chief D'Angelo or Assistant Chief D'Angelo come up and justify that nicely. Don't think it'd be too much of a problem, but he can explain why the late addition. And
Why the late edition?
there. Yeah, sure, why not? Now that you're on the spot, my man. Sorry about that.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah.
Counselor. So we would like to request to add a travel request for myself or the fire chief will be one of us to the fire academy, be a week from Tuesday. It is a logistics meeting for the recruit firefighting class. We have 3 members that will be attending that. We just received the email yesterday from the state that this meeting will be occurring. Previously, we were able to do this via Zoom. That was a COVID thing, and that is not an option. So it is a logistics meeting to give us all the paperwork and the requirements for our new recruits, and it's in person at the fire academy. We're just made aware of it yesterday, and it occurs before the next council meeting. So that's the reason for the late ad. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
What is the cost for that?
It's just gonna be an overnight trip, so there will be a hotel stay and meals. There's no cost for the event. It's just the travel cost.
$300 is outlined in the resolution. Not to exceed that $300 for travel.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir. I know that Courtney had a number of items that you want to just go through your list. Yeah, as well as some departmental updates as well.
How are you?
Good. How are you all? Good.
Good.
Happy almost 4th. Yes. Hope you're all relaxing tomorrow or coming downtown, which is also relaxing because there'll be lots of fun things going on. I'll just say it really for everybody here to hear that there's a parade happening tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We've got over 40 floats participating, and counselors, you're all welcome to come and find a spot kind of on the main stage where the announcers are, where all the fun and action happens. We'll, have the space available for you and your family. So please come down. You're more than welcome to. We've got lots of food trucks and vendors in Trinity Park as always. And then starting at 5:30, we've got some really great live music. Taylor LaValle, who's a local singer-songwriter, and then a band from Boston called Couch. And we're really excited to be hosting them. And then fireworks go off at 9:30. So we hope all of you consider coming and joining us. And then there's also the Mayor's Cup this weekend. And we're hoping the weather will cooperate for that. But thank you to Sunrise Rotary, who puts on this event, in partnership with the city. And we really appreciate all the work that they do for that. So just wanted to highlight those things.
Sorry, and then before the next meeting, next Thursday, we also have Parks Come Alive
Oh, true.
out of South Acres, correct?
No, Melissa Penfield.
Oh, Melissa Penfield, sorry. At Melissa Penfield on the 11th,
Yep.
starting 4:30,
Yep.
4:30, 5 o'clock? Okay,
Yep.
cool.
4:30 to
Yeah.
7:30.
So
I did notice
week.
that South Acres already went by.
We
Didn't know about it.
We rescheduled.
Oh,
So you're good. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is gonna be in August. And then Fox Hill or South Platte Street will be in September, which will be in time to do a ribbon cutting for the new playground at Fox Hill. And Julie, I will get you a event calendar. I think I handed it out at the last
Yeah,
meeting. And
it's
I
out there.
now have all the
It's out
dates
there.
on it. Awesome. And so I think I'm just kind of highlighting and bringing forward a couple things that I wanted folks to be aware of. One is the beach kind of going in line with the Mayor's Cup events. It's a great opportunity to highlight our city beach. We've got some other really interesting community-led things happening at the beach. There's a proposal on the agenda tonight to approve a beer garden for an event at the city beach on September 7th. That organizer might come and do a quick public comment, but that's an outside entertainment group that wants to come and use our city beach to host a concert, with vendors and community organizations and food trucks and, you know, beer and all of those fun things. And that's being run by a community member. And, I just wanted to highlight that our beach is being considered for opportunities like that. This is not something that would just be for people in Plattsburgh, but the idea is to have this be a more, you know, regional draw, bringing people into our community. And then we've also got the Strand that is using our beach stage and our beach lawn to host a circus event in the next couple weeks. So they've got a traveling circus, no animals, just like an acrobatic performance situation. But again, I think just wanting to highlight and would also love for your championship of highlighting like the city beach as an asset, as a venue space that we can use to highlight our community, to drive economic growth, tourism, and those kinds of things in our community.
So there's 2 beer gardens then?
So
I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No, that's okay. The other beer garden is just kind of I just wanted to make it formalized. In January, when I put forward all of my approvals for beer gardens, I had the location of the beer garden listed at the beach, but it's actually going to be at the city marina where they're hosting a concert with food and a celebration for all the sailors. So I just wanted to make sure that the location was correct for
Okay,
administrative purposes.
so it's 2, okay, so 2 different times, yeah.
Yeah.
So Courtney, I do have a question about the beach. Are you talking about the actual beach itself, or are you talking about that parking lot area between the Sandy Beach and the Old Crate location? Is that where the?
Yeah, the beach lawn.
What,
The lawn or the parking lot?
We call it the beach lawn, but it's not part of the parking lot. It is an actual
It's
lawn.
off to the other.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the beach,
Mhm.
on the right hand side, there's a big lawn there,
Okay.
and then it's just adjacent to the parking area.
I love this idea. As someone who sunburns ridiculously easily, I wonder if. I don't know if it's cost prohibitive or if it's worth an investment of some kind to have large tents.
Mhm.
So people can enjoy it without suffering the sunshine out there. I just want to be able to make that suggestion
Yeah.
because that would, especially with summers getting hotter and warmer and warmer. I mean, I think that would be a reason why some people might not want to go because it just would be so unforgivingly hot. But if there was some kind of shade, so I just thought I'd offer this
Yeah,
suggestion.
Wear one of those hats, you know, you put the hat on and.
No, I do.
An umbrella.
I do. I mean,
It's
I
got
wear
the
a
umbrella
hat,
coming
but
off the hat.
just saying.
Yeah, and I know like as we get these more sort of professionally organized events that come like this one that's being proposed on September 7th. And there's a proposal that I think will get put in front of you in the next week or so. You know, in that they talk about sort of like these lounge stations or like hydration
Mhm,
stations or those areas like you're talking about that actually have the shade. And it's like something you would see at a music festival where there's certain areas of like rescue close to the washrooms and those types of things to kind of make sure that people aren't getting heat stroke out.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so it's.
It would just make the event much more enjoyable for hot weather.
Yeah,
So I just thought I'd suggest that, maybe,
Thank you.
you know, even if it means that we have to use some kind of outside vendor and maybe budget for it. I
Yeah.
just want to put that suggestion out there because I think that's great. I've wanted to see music festivals out there for years
yeah,
as a person who loves live music.
yes, absolutely. Thank you. Cool. The next thing I wanted to touch base on, there's 2 resolutions on the agenda tonight that have to do with the New York Main Street feasibility or technical assistance grant. And so one of those resolutions is to award the RFP for the architecture firm who's going to perform the feasibility studies for this round of the grant. We were awarded this grant in 2023. It's $20,000 from Homes and Community Renewal. The city has a $1,100 match. And we'll be working with 3 downtown business owners to create a study of how they can improve both the facade of their building and then also make interior improvements. And the whole idea with this program is that those feasibility studies serve as the basis for then applying for future funding through New York Main Street and Homes and Community Renewal to fund downtown building improvement programs. And so this is like us doing our pre-work in order to potentially partner with downtown business owners or they could just take the study and implement it themselves.
So have you picked the three people and how does that determine?
Yeah, so we had a list created when we did the downtown grant program. As part of the DRI, there was an application process, a review process, and we worked with people off of that list that scored, that wanted to participate and then scored in the top qualifying. And then after that program was done, we went back to that list and reapproached people who weren't part of that program to say, hey, there's this other opportunity. Would you like to be a part of this? And those are the 3 building owners that we're working with now.
So the resolution references buildings on Margaret Street, Clinton Street, Rickerhoff, City Hall Place, and or Bridge Street. Can you give us the actual businesses and addresses?
Yes, so I think the one that you're referring to is the other.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
resolution.
I'm
Oh, no,
hopping
that's okay.
07144.
Yeah, so the buildings are, I have to remember them off the top of my head. 15 Clinton, 78 Margaret. And unfortunately, we had one on Margaret that pulled out, but we did find a new business owner and they're on Cornelia Street. They're actually right behind City Hall.
So it's not 78 Margaret Street, it's 78.
Can I get back to you on these?
Do you know what the businesses are?
So, 15 Clinton, I believe, is what houses Level Up Electronics.
Oh, yeah.
The one on Cornelia is Monumental Cuts. And then, the one on Margaret is it the unoccupied one? That's the one that I need to confirm the address for you.
There's an unoccupied building.
Is there an unoccupied?
Yeah,
storefront?
it's where,
Yes.
the bar used to be in the corner.
Bagel Pit.
What is it?
Is it the Bagel Pit?
No, it's not.
That's not
big.
that
I
one?
wish.
I thought it was one. I thought that was your name on the list, but.
Yeah. Can I get, I could
Yeah.
just look it up after this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do they provide exactly? For
Yeah.
this feasibility study?
So it's a layout, a map of like a building footprint and proposed changes. It could also be a architecture's rendering of what those proposed facade improvements could look like. I did include the architecture.
I saw that.
Report.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if in that report there was some drawings and examples of what their feasibility studies included.
Okay.
Part of it also is going to be based on when they speak with the building owner and talking about what they're looking to achieve and what they want to accomplish.
Yeah, I saw those drawings. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, they're nice.
They have and that's, so they look at all 3 businesses and all those 3 fall into the $20,000.
Yeah. Yep, and they all get a report at the end, and we bring that report back to the state. So that second resolution that has all those buildings, streets listed, that is for us to basically just apply for this grant again in the 2024 CFA round. And so as part of our application, we have to submit a resolution saying that the council approves that we go after this application. And that the council, the match for the city would be $1,100. And I think I just wanted to highlight sort of the intention of where I think this program could go, where we're building a list of building owners and business owners who want to be participating in these projects, so that we can go back to this list for future funding opportunities and to have people kind of work through this cycle of programming through the city, that will help improve our downtown buildings and, strengthen the vitality of these businesses in our downtown. And so I see this as being a little bit of a cycle where we go after these feasibility studies, we collect a bunch of studies, and then we are able to use those studies to go after more grant funding that would then implement what the studies are recommending.
So is it incumbent upon the business owners after they receive these architectural drawings and stuff to follow through and do anything with this, or is it?
It's not a requirement, they don't have to then show us like that a year later they expended funds to have these renovations happen. But the idea is, and part of when they applied for the program, is that they indicated their level of interest in continuing to work with us in the future, when these opportunities become available. So I welcome thoughts and, feedback on that as that continues to roll out, and wanted to bring it to everybody's attention as sort of a mechanism that we're hoping community development can use, in our downtown community to keep revitalizing the downtown.
Would the buildings that were affected by that rainstorm also be included in an opportunity to go after such?
Yeah, yeah, every building in our downtown
Okay.
area is, there are some stipulations, as there are with any grant funding, like religious organizations are not eligible. Private member organizations are not eligible for this funding, but business owners and building owners are eligible.
Do they know that?
The religious
No,
organization,
the business, like, the whole stretch of business owners downtown, are they aware of that?
not yet. So I'm about to do outreach, hopefully with the successful passing of this resolution tonight, saying that we will be going after this grant. Then next week I'll release a request for applications, and we'll start collecting applications from business owners and building owners.
Well, excuse me, you specified these places. These aren't necessarily the ones you're gonna be looking at? It's gonna be opened up to everyone, or? I'm confused.
Yeah, the ones for the 2023 award are already chosen. And then right now we're in the process of putting out a call for applications for 2024
Upon the approval of
upon the
this.
approval of us going after this grant. Yeah. Right, got one more update. A couple weeks ago, if not a month ago, I shared, the consolidated funding application memo. Just listing which grants we're going after. On that memo was a proposal to go after funding for a playground in Melissa Penfield Park. And the idea with that playground is that it would become a destination playground in not just our community, but in our region for accessibility, inclusivity, sensory friendly, playground equipment that's designed, for children and young people with a whole range of abilities and disabilities. This is something that we've heard from the public as a want and an interest in public outreach when we did the Parks Master Plan. And so we'd like to move that grant application forward. And I've been working with a playground company to put together some ideas and designs of what that could look like. At the next meeting, what I'd like to do is present kind of where we're at in terms of what that concept could look like. And sort of share a little bit more about why this could be really impactful in our community, how this could benefit. And I'm just letting everybody know that that's kind of coming down the pipeline. And I might be able to get somebody to come in and actually do a presentation as well. But what we would be doing is we'd be looking for the council's support through a resolution to say, if we go after this grant and we're successful, that, the city's willing to put a match up to fund that playground. So
Thank you.
more coming on.
Worthy cause.
Pardon?
I said it's a worthy cause.
So where are the costs?
Well, I appreciate you telling us and keeping us in the loop like that. That's
Sure.
nice. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Those were all the things I wanted to highlight. Any other questions or?
Is the resolution regarding the South Acres barn roof, is that something that you would answer if I have questions, or would that be?
That's Mike and Andrew. Mike.
Good segue.
Yes.
Evening.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I had a question. I read the AEDA report, and they gave us the estimate for, their portion of this. And maybe you've answered this before, so hope you'll be patient with me.
Yes.
Is there lead or asbestos or any kind of other contaminants in that roof that are going to require remediation outside of this? That's what I want.
The roof system that currently is on it is a vintage that does not have it. Now, I can't speak to what's underneath it. I'm assuming what we have is the asphalt roof system is not for whatever reason, staying on that roof. That roof's not that old. And I know that back when I first started here, I want to say 2 years in, and Chamber of Marks, remember this, we actually did a repair on that, I think about $8,000. And the shingles just keep coming off the thing.
Is it
what
the slope?
It's, I think the shape, and I also think it's the substrate underneath it. It's actually not plywood, it's a plank roof, so I don't think. I believe the old roof system was like a half lap shingle, like a rolled roofing as opposed to individual shingles, and I just don't think what they have on there is holding, so. Rather than keep throwing money at patches, my suggestion is that they take the whole roof off and, repair it.
You mean down to the,
Right down, take the plank
Done?
off, right down to the truss. And then
Oh,
go ahead
wow.
and resheet it and then re-roof it.
So done right and done well.
Done,
Fix-
done,
fix it
one,
properly.
yeah, fix it.
Fix it properly.
so is that the 350,000?
And that, yeah, and again, that is a budgetary estimate. That's what the engineer came up with. Once they get the final design done, they'll give us two options, probably an asphalt roof system or a metal roof system. Obviously, a metal roof system is gonna be more expensive, so that'll be a decision you guys will have to make. We'll get two choices there.
Metal roof is more expensive, isn't it?
Metal roof will be more expensive.
But is it something that lasts longer?
It will last longer, yes.
Do you know off the top of your head, what kind of costs are we talking? Like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, like do you?
I think in
Yeah.
the original proposal, they gave us budgetary estimates. I want to say the high end estimate, I don't have that with me, was the metal. I want to say they were $250,000 to $300,000, I think in that range for the roof. And again, a lot of the work is because they do have to take the old plank roof off or deal with it.
Mhm.
And that is, you know, the cost. It's a very large roof. I mean,
Mhm. Yeah, it's a big.
Can't they just go right on top of the plank?
that's a possibility once they peel the asphalt shingles
Yeah,
off.
I mean,
So again, until they get it apart and come up with a design. But the first part of it, and it was an attachment, was what their proposal is. For design, and once they come up with a design, then they can get a hard cost on it. And we can go from there.
so what's AEDA's piece in this?
They are
just
gonna
the
they're gonna do,
organizing bids
they're
and
gonna go ahead and design. And then create contract documents and then administer the project once it's awarded.
do we do that for all projects to have an
Yes.
outside company come in and do that?
Absolutely. We actually, depending on the complexity of the project, like for instance, City Hall roof. We'll use another roof as an example. They had oversight on it. But they might have showed up maybe once every other week. So I was here with the project to the end. And we're closing that one out. So that was, this is probably the most complex roof system you'll see is that copper dome. No one has one around here. Like that. I mean, those are very, very, and we got extremely fortunate. The contractor was excellent. To find someone that's actually done a dome, which I've never seen one done, and it was, really a neat project to be involved with, so. Very successful. And just while we're on the topic of the dome, you'll notice that there is a resolution on there for deduct change order, so that is to close out the project, so that's the allowance portion that was not used during the project. And that will be the final of it. Good news is 4th of July is here and we are ahead of schedule. We were anticipating, I think, August. Or September for completion, so way ahead of schedule.
August or September.
That's what
completion?
we were, yeah.
Were or are?
We were.
Oh,
We were done.
okay, that's right.
Everything is
I didn't hear you.
100% complete.
Okay, so it is done.
Yep.
Are there any leaks?
Nope. Not even.
No, actually,
Not even
Oh,
after
yeah.
that big rain.
We did get that big rainstorm, and
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing from the roof.
nothing from the roof. Yeah, the basement, ground floor, I got a call Thursday night after you guys had left the last meeting. And I was back here with 6 inches of water up against the door.
So about that big rainstorm.
Yes.
So it was just the system basically got overloaded. Is that the consensus?
System, the whole city? Yes, the whole city got overloaded. So
I was up at
spent-
PHS and water was fountaining up through there.
Yeah, so if you went down by the Caps pump station, most likely to the pickles and manhole, it looks like the water part, with it shooting up out of there. Yeah, it's just too much water too quickly. I'm gonna ask Andrew to step up here with me, we might as well just give you some rough numbers, what we ran real quick, based on the information we had.
Because people were all over the place about Margaret Street and how could this have happened? And it was citywide.
So we might as well,
Put that right
we
in.
might as well debunk the Margaret Street thing, right? Andrew will give you, what we had, what we now have. He'll also give you any updates on Margaret Street while I'm here, and I'll stay here.
So we'll start with the current updates. So Margaret Street's probably like 99.9% complete. All the new signals are in, push buttons are in, they're all working properly. They've got a little bit of asphalt work to do where the old foundations were. And that's it.
I will note that the pedestrian control on Brinkerhoff, I've asked Andrew to take a look at it. It's probably like just under about 6 feet.
It's right at 6 feet. I measured it.
So it's a little short. If you notice, you'd be like, that looks, something's a little off. You can't quite tell until you notice how short the pedestal is.
Oh.
So
So I gotta go back and look at the specs to see what the standard is for that. I thought it was supposed to be 7 feet. I could be wrong, but we gotta look at that and see what.
Why are they tearing up the sidewalk on the corner of Bridge and Margaret?
So what happened there, there's a couple different things. We got a pretty nasty crack and you'll see that concrete cracks due to shrinkage. The problem there was it cracked and then it spidered and went all over the place. So it started flaking. There was a gentleman that owns a business there and some of his employees drove a U-Haul truck over the top of it. So that could have contributed to that issue. So we had them tear it out and re-pour it because it was just going to continue to get worse. And by, you get water in there, it freezes, it blows apart. It would have been a mess at the end of the winter next year. They would have had to come back and replace it as a warranty item next year. So I figured it was best just to pull it out now before they pulled out and get it.
I didn't mean to get you sidetracked.
No, that's fine. So as far as the water goes, obviously a lot of questions with the storm system out there. So previously, what was out at Margaret Street, Margaret, Brink, and Court Street were part of a combined system. So about 75% of that system for the stormwater actually went into the sanitary system. As part of this project, we took 100% of the stormwater off of the combined system.
How big was the pipe that was the combined sewer?
So the combined sewer was an 18-inch pipe. So when we upgraded Margaret Street, we went to a 24-inch pipe for the storm sewer.
Just for the storm sewer.
Just the storm sewer. So keep in mind, all of the storm sewer was going into an 18-inch line that also had sanitary sewer going into it. So the reality is if this storm would have hit the same time the year before, it probably would have been sewage coming up through people's toilets instead of stormwater going through their front doors. The system just can't handle that much water.
But there was sewage.
What's that?
The downtown business owners have attested that they're. Jeff went down and visited with them. There.
Yeah,
I actually got,
Anecdotal, I didn't observe it, but there was 3 of the property owners that told me that they did have sewage going up in their basement. I don't know. That's all I can
And so what that could have been, and I'm gonna tell you that I spent Friday and Monday and part of Tuesday going throughout the city. Probably an illegal sump pump connection. Where the sump pump is actually recirculating back into
their sanitary.
sanitary and is running it back.
Did you verify that's?
Well, we did not get contacted about any sewer. leakage.
Nobody contacted us about the stormwater. We got no calls for the Margaret Street project.
So you said that when the water and sewer were combined, it was an 18-inch pipe.
Yes.
And because I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said after that. You said now that the lines are separated, the pipes are 22 inches.
24.
Each,
The
24
main, yep,
each.
the main line is 24,
The main sewer.
the main storm line.
Main storm.
And then each catch basin has a 15-inch lateral that comes from the catch basin that goes into that main. And then some capacity numbers, actually we'll start with total number of structures. So prior to construction, there were 17 catch basins throughout those 3 streets. Now there's 53. So almost 3 times the number of catch basins. Manholes, there used to be 5, now there's 17.
You said 3 times the catch basin numbers?
Yep.
And how many manholes?
There used to be 5, now there's 17.
There are 17 manholes.
Yep, so basically you're looking at, there's 3 times as many total structures on the new project as there was the old project.
So, I'm writing down.
Well, so every time we get a hard rain, this is gonna happen? Is that what you're telling me?
So, no, so let me kind of keep going where I was at. So capacity wise, if you were to add up the total cubic volume of storage space that we have between pipe and catch basins and manholes, we used to have around 6,100 cubic feet. Now we have 9,400 cubic feet. That does not take into consideration a 13,000 cubic foot infiltration trench that runs along from Brinkerhoff to Broad Street, which can store water and allows the water to perk into the ground. And if that fills up, then it goes into the rest of the system. So basically what happened was around 2:30, 3 o'clock, we got about a half an inch of rain. I had driven around at that time because that was probably the heaviest rain we had gotten since construction had happened. I wanted to look at things. Everything was flowing fine. I went home, started seeing stuff on Facebook, obviously. Those numbers went from 5.5 inches of rain to 2.1 inches of rain in a 20-minute period. So that is almost 7 inches of rain an hour.
It was after this meeting.
Yes, yep, so it was like 6:30-ish, I think,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So if you calculate that, an inch of rain is 27,000 gallons of water per acre. The area that Margaret Street of impervious surface between the parking lots and the streets, not including any roof runoff, is about 5.5 acres. So you're talking almost 313,000 gallons of water was dropped in that system over a 20-minute period. There is no system that's designed to handle it.
So, is it true that this is only the 16th worst storm that's ever hit the downtown area? It's not the number one worst storm that's ever hit us.
I don't know.
So is the curb poured below the street, or what? Because this was something we talked about last year, where the street was poured and then the curb was put in. Isn't that true?
No, the curb was put in and then the street was put in.
Because the curbs are different
The curb, in some places, the curb was installed before the sidewalk was installed.
curbs before sidewalk.
Yes.
And I know I specifically asked you, last year, we went into an executive session for some various legal entanglements.
Yep.
And asked you if there would be any problem with drainage. No, there isn't going to be any problem with drainage. It seemed to me that chunk of Margaret Street that flooded into the businesses there looked more like a great big swimming pool in relationship to the rest of the street. So you can imagine that a lot of people have questions about the integrity of that project.
So.
And let me just finish.
Yep.
And so I'm sure that's the reason why we all want some answers. Because if this is the new normal with a changing climate, fast, heavy rains, we also happened in Montpelier last year. And you're assuring us that there's nothing wrong structurally with the integrity of the project. And yes, we know we had a lot of rain. No one's going to detest, that. Is part of the problem the fact that town of Plattsburgh feeds into our system, isn't that correct?
Not necessarily their stormwater, their sanitary feeds into our system.
Okay, so would it be safe to say then that all the water from that storm rushing down into that particular spot in the city was like a great big funnel? Would that be an accurate description?
So essentially, if you actually look at it, that section of Margaret Street, if you go down towards Court Street, the Court Street end of Margaret Street's higher, the Broad Street end of Margaret Street's higher. You have Brinkerhoff, Prospect, Clinton Street, and Court Street all pitched towards Margaret Street.
Okay, so is there a larger structural issue before Margaret Street that needs to be addressed to avoid repeats like this?
It would actually be after Margaret Street.
Okay, so, all right, so the flow out is what
Yes.
you're saying.
So you would need to upsize your capacity of your lines that Margaret Street tie into that go from Margaret Street to the river so that they can handle the extra capacity.
Okay.
So Margaret Street was designed to handle
But
a.
everything after is not.
Correct.
So then,
So give you an example, so Andrew pointed out, they tripled the number of DIs or drainage inputs, okay? Again,
which means,
everything,
so they're catching more?
they're catching,
They're
that's
catching more.
correct, so they're
Okay.
catching more, so you keep talking about the curb height, I know where you're going with the curb height. Curb height, first of all, we can't put an 8 or 9 inch curb there, that's illegal, can't do that. Can't open a door in a car.
Just asking the questions that people are asking.
But that's what they're gonna.
Just want to be clear.
So
about
I'm gonna explain.
Okay.
Can't do that. If you look at that area, and I actually went the next day once it quieted. Monday. No, it's around. Looked in every single structure, there was one structure, I was worried that there was something that was coming up and backing something up.
Mhm.
And on one structure at the end of Court Street that had a sump that needed to be back, but that was not gonna be changed. The area that you saw in the pond. There was 6 times the number of structures in that area as it was before. Okay, so this rain event, like I said, you can, whatever, you know, they can go back and say this is only the 16th worst storm. It might be the 16th worst, but it's not this duration.
Okay,
A 20-minute period, basically, we can only take 170,000 gallons of water. And we got
300,
300.
330.
so that makes total sense to me now. So thank you for enduring my question. So it leads me to the next question I have, which is, we're going to be looking at creating our budget and our capital project over the next 6 months or so. And, I think it would be worthwhile for you guys to look at what kind of capital project or repairs the city needs to create to eliminate that from happening again, because that all makes sense to me, that the project allows for more water to be caught, but now the funnel is actually happening afterwards.
Right.
Now, so I'm just speaking on my own behalf and on how the rest of the council feels. I would like to see a capital project created or proposed at least that would address what's happening from Margaret Street down to its final destination, to address that. Because if we have more storms like this and the businesses get flooded again, because once water finds its way, it'll always find its way. I would like to see us address whatever future projects we could create to keep that from happening.
Okay.
Thank you for your explanation.
It's not hard to
I
see
appreciate that.
why that area was a problem. If you look there, you'll see from Brinkerhoff Street is much higher
Yes.
than that area.
Yep.
If you look the other way, from Protection Avenue down is much higher.
Everything.
That's a low spot and that's gonna collect.
So if you,
Water.
just to kind of put it into perspective, this amount of water is almost equivalent to an Olympic-sized swimming pool that's 10 feet deep, draining it in 20 minutes onto the street. So that's the sheer amount of water that came in. When Irene hit, Irene dumped just over 7 inches of rain over a 48-hour period. We had a third of that in 20 minutes. So people keep saying, oh, you know, we had Irene and it didn't flood. Well, Irene was over 48 hours.
Mhm.
This was 20 minutes.
Mhm.
I think it's also understandably that the downtown got the most attention. But I think Councilor Manette, I got a call from Councilor Manette, like, what's going on in Broad Street?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You saw flooding on Broad Street,
South Peru.
South Peru. saw
Durkee and
flooding
Broad?
on-
That intersection, Durkee and Broad, was totally flooded.
We saw flooding throughout the entire city. It was not necessarily because of Margaret.
And,
Street.
and outside of the city, just down the road from our shop.
Shop. Or direction.
Yeah, the town of Plattsburgh had a they had a 6-foot diameter culvert that took all the water from the flight line and it completely washed out 150 linear feet of that 6-foot diameter culvert.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking culvert
Yeah.
my height. And it washed that culvert out.
So when it comes to replacing our streets, or when we. In the future, when we address like complete street redos.
Yep.
It is that are below the funnel, basically. are in the funnel, are we gonna take that into consideration? That sort of,
Anytime that we look at a street for more than a mill and resurface, we are always looking at our utilities
right,
and how, you know, the age, any issues that we've ever had with them. We'll camera them to make sure that they're in good condition, the capacity that they can handle.
If it's combined sewer, we look to
Yeah.
separate combined sewers.
right. It's like, it goes to Councilor Gibbs' point.
So one is in the design phase. You notice we've had trucks right in the middle of the road, middle of the day. Stuff. What they're doing is a camera survey of the sanitary sewer and also the storm sewer. So we can get the design right. So that's again, and every time we do something like this,
Yeah, so the design engineer is cameraing the condition of the existing storm sewer. And then they'll analyze that to make sure that that can handle the capacity of a 100-year flood event. And then if not, then we redesign it. Add more structures, put bigger pipe in the ground. So anytime we do a big project like that, we're always looking at upsizing the capacity of our storm sewer.
And taking into account the fact that that's basically a funnel point, a catch point,
Yes.
then.
It's one of several. I mean, it's what we call the French Quarter, right down the Indian Street is really a prime example. We don't have storm sewer off of the, you know, all those streets. We don't, you know, again, that's one of the problems we're trying to work out at the Beacon Street is what to do with stormwater. We don't have dedicated storm sewers. It's an old city, so a lot of that is, we have a lot of sheet draining. So you get a lot of water that runs down into a handful of catch basins. You get a bunch of ponding, big rain events. You could not design for that. I mean, there's nothing, you know, it's easy to point the fingers at the engineers screwed up here. The design, you know, I'm sure we can go back to them, they'll run the calcs for you and show you on paper what they designed to, with sound, and Andrew and I are licensed. Okay, he ran some quick capacity in the base of the pipe that's there. I'm sure they can give more detail. One of the things I brought to Andrew is, if you think of the roofs. I did have, you know, you didn't have roof systems on there, and all that roof water comes down too.
Yeah.
There's acres and acres of roofs downtown, and impermeable surfaces, so, you know, to go back to the original one, yes, we already are trying to separate combines, we're supposed to be doing that. A lot of the work we're doing over the waterhouse area with the slip lining is solved a lot of problems. We've also found some issues that we're not particularly fond of either. We gotta achieve before. Definitely, like Andrew said, we should be working from the plan backwards, upsizing stormwater separation.
That was exactly what I was gonna ask. So, actually, two things to follow up with the engineer that designed this. Was there any way for the engineer to anticipate that this problem would have happened? That we're creating a funnel in our project footprint? And that what is, you know, what you said, you know, by doing it reverse design, was there any conversation or warning from the engineering?
So what they do is they basically, they take what I kind of did. They look at the overall area, which is all of the streets that flow downhill to that. And they calculate the amount of surface runoff based off of programming that tells them what a 100-year flood event. These programs have flood events already programmed in them. So basically they can insert the AutoCAD drawing. They can put borders around the areas that they say come to this, you know, our project area, and that program will calculate and tell them how much capacity that they need to design for based off of a 100-year flood event. This flood was much more than a 100-year flood event, probably closer to a 500-year flood event. You don't design for that because you can't afford to build it.
So I've heard that a lot in news articles that I read, that exact language, but we don't design for that because we can't afford it.
Yes.
But just, this is gonna be the new normal. So
It may be.
Yeah, it is. We know this from a changing climate and the amount of precipitation, and we live in an area that is going to have this kind of extreme weather because of where we are. So again, I'm just gonna say, I would like to see capital project created that takes some precedence about how we can create better flow so that we don't have another event like this.
And if it is your will, when we look at these, I can tell the design engineer, hey, we don't want to design to a 100-year flood event. We want to design for a 100-year flood event and then upsize the pipe one size bigger or two size bigger.
I
We
would
can do
definitely
that
like
too.
to see some anticipatory planning.
Sure.
Absolutely, because once we,
The other,
Then,
the
no,
other thing,
hold on a second.
Deb, you need to understand, I'm gonna interrupt here.
apparently you are.
I am, yes, and the reason I'm interrupting is because Andrew and Michael, we're not the city engineer, we're not the city planner. So a lot of times we're told what projects we're gonna go for. Not only the projects that need to be done, so that is, our hands are tied with some of these things. Again, in a perfect world, you would design from the plant backwards. But the public wants certain things at a certain time. And that's one of those things that we don't have a whole lot of control over. Sometimes. Now, when we bring it forward to the council and say, you know, we need to look at storms sewer outside of whatever area we work in.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But that's why we're here,
But.
because we approve these projects and so I'm just saying, like I said, I don't know how the rest of the council feels. But these projects are approved by council and I would like to see that kind of collaborative approach on prioritizing. This kind of anticipatory plan. That's what I'm asking for. Thank you for answering the questions. I really appreciate it.
Any other questions on Margaret Street?
You're very helpful.
I don't have one on Margaret Street, but I did get a complaint from a constituent. He got sewer backup during the flood, but this is the third time it's happened. I know he has talked with you guys. Corner of St. Charles and Elm.
Oh, that's,
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
without
Yeah.
anything else, we know what that is.
Yes, yeah, that's what.
Without mentioning
his
names,
concern,
but you know, that was engineered entirely wrong. Back in the day, I mean, he showed me all the material on
No,
that.
he's 100% right,
You know,
and it's not, no one in this room created that problem.
Correct.
I mean, not knowing.
But I don't know, he, eventually, I think if it was me, I'd be suing, because that wasn't done right. But not on anybody here, but yes.
Right.
That I would have been more aggravated even than he was. But I don't know if there's anything that can be done. I should really look.
We're doing the very.
I know it's,
And what we have. You're out straight, I mean. Roofs, we're doing bathroom building, there's parks, we're doing there's a lot for a handful of people now that are in the city. You know, we used to have a city engineer, we used to have.
well, he's the one that created the problem, so I wouldn't.
We're just in the high spots here.
You're here for a very short time.
And I would, and I'm gonna tell you this. He didn't create all the problems, or him or her or whoever. It's over time. Okay, I'd like to say, point a finger at one individual and say it was you or you, but no. There's plenty of blame to go around for, and some of the stuff is not even blame, like Councilor Gibbs said. These are the new norm, okay? You get storms like this maybe before. Will we see a storm like this again? Probably not. I'm not thinking you're gonna see that much rain.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in this situation, it isn't a storm, you know, apartments have been added there. You know, the field is now draining in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I'm talking about the farm.
yeah, well, I had kind of pivoted away from that, but yeah, okay, yeah, so. Yeah, it wasn't like that a while ago, but. I would be frustrated myself.
PSAP grant, great news after almost 8 years of putting it out to bid and having contractors not want to do the job after they bid on it. It is complete. So we have 2 intersections that have now been brought into ADA compliance, new push buttons, new signals. Construction's complete. We just got to close out the job with our documents and that'll be done. That project was 100% federally and state funded. So we'll
What
get,
intersections?
so we did North Catherine and Cornelia Street and Beekman and Cornelia Street. Originally, they were supposed to be Broad and Cornelia Street by Walgreens and Prospect and Cornelia Street, but DOT gave us the funding to do the Cornelia Street project. So we took those projects, shifted them down a couple intersections because those two intersections are going to be part of the Cornelia Street project.
And that's gonna be a traffic circle.
Yes, that is what we are looking at. Yep.
But that's what DOT is looking at.
DOT is, yes.
Let's make this clear.
Okay.
Yes.
I think, sorry, Counselor, because I think it's, we've got to reiterate the who's responsible for what. Yes, it's in the city of Plattsburgh. This is a New York State DOT designed, primarily funded project. This is their project, which is why it has not come to council other than to contribute the 12 or $21,000.
Yeah,
That we had to do as part of the Marchicelli funding. So this is a DOT project. So those designs, although they have come to our office and said, what do you think? The option was this big roundabout or this small roundabout. There was no, what are the other options that you want?
There will be a public, I don't know that it's a hearing, but there will be a public meeting as a portion of the project.
Oh.
I'm not sure when that'll happen yet because we're still kind of in the preliminary design phase. But I think once the preliminary design is done, they'll do the community outreach and have a public engagement meeting. That's part of the project, so that has to be done.
So I don't know if you can answer this question, because it's New York State DOT, but is it being proposed that way because it's going to be safer, it's going to create better traffic flow, better pedestrian safety, like what?
All three.
All those, okay.
So statistically, people will argue that it's not, but statistically, traffic circles are safer, especially with the intersection that we have there.
Mhm.
We have a ton of accidents there, people pulling out of the road by Stewart's. They're turning left, crossing traffic coming out of Walgreens. Nobody knows who has the right of way. It's a very messed up intersection.
Across there, I just came up with it in my head. What other way can you get across that broad intersection short of the bridge?
Yeah, that pedestrian is, it's very dangerous.
Short pedestrian bridge over the top of that width. It's just, you can't stop traffic at 100% coming down through there. Everyone here skates going up through the street. Not one of us during those days.
Especially today.
Exactly. So I don't know how else they could do it besides a roundabout. They have way smarter engineers than people with Andrew and myself. That look at this stuff, but tends to be the way DOT goes. You go to Champlain, you get off the exit, you see the roundabouts up there.
And they work off.
They were.
I think where we might get into trouble there is you talk about has the right of way. That's gonna be super busy. You're gonna be sitting there waiting to get in
And
sometimes.
a lot of it is educating the public. You
And I
can't,
was gonna say, the people that don't like to use them are the people that don't know how to use them.
right, you can't just
So-
throw something like that out in the middle of an intersection and say, here, fend for yourselves. It's going to take a public engagement during the construction, say, hey, we're installing a roundabout, this is how you use it. So that is part of the plan as well, as to do some public engagement for the roundabout.
And if one does go there, people that are uncomfortable moving through it will find another way to the destination.
Do you guys know if it's gonna be a double or a single lane?
I do not know.
So as part of that project, and this has been presented before, but it will include bike lanes on Cornelia, sidewalks. I don't believe that they're reducing the lane count, so the lane count will still remain the same. But it is a complete street project that is looking to improve access and accessibility to the businesses in that area. We've got about a minute, so any other item we'll talk about at the time of question. I'll take a motion to adjourn this work session. Motion by Councilor Dick, second.
Thank you, guys.
Second by Councilor Manette. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's now adjourned.
Jacob, is that a pacifier?
That is.
Third person. See how many people notice it. I found it in my pocket as I'm going. I got baby stuff all over.
Yeah, so I think they're waiting.
I'm ready to be this.
Yeah, great. At this time, I'd like to call the July 3rd, 2024 regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Plattsburgh to order. It is 5:30 p.m. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Carly, please conduct a roll call. What are we supposed to do first? Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot about the public hearing. Well, can we do it still within the? Okay, great. Okay, the city of Plattsburgh is holding a public hearing to hear public comment on proposed local law P4 2024 and local law adding chapter 177 harbor management, the city code of the city of Plattsburgh. To open this public hearing, I'll take a motion. Motion by Councilor Avery, second by Councilor Gibbs, sorry. All in favor? Any opposed? The public hearing is now open. Any persons intending to make a comment to this public hearing, please come to the podium, state your legal name and address for the record. And in accordance with the organizational rules of order, you begin 5 minutes to address the council on this particular local law. All right, seeing none, I'll now take a motion to, now entertain a motion to close this public hearing. A motion by Councilor Avery, second by Councilor Gibbs, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Any opposed? That public hearing is closed. I'll now move on to the business of the regular meeting. Ms. Carly, please conduct a roll call.
Mayor Rosenquist.
Here.
Councilor Bond.
Here.
Councilor Avery.
Here.
Councilor Gibbs.
Here.
Councilor Talon.
Here.
Councilor Manette.
Here.
Councilor Moore.
here,
All councilors have received a copy of the minutes of the June 20th, 2024 regular meeting. If there are no additions, deletions, or corrections, I'll now entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Motion by Councilor Avery, second by Councilor Manette. Any changes, deletions, alterations? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. I'll now recognize those in the audience that wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the council on any topic. Please come to the podium to be acknowledged. When called upon, we please ask that you state your legal name and address for the record. In accordance with the organizational rules of order, all speakers will be given 5 minutes to address the council.
Good evening, council members. For the record, public speaking is not my thing. Haven't done that in quite a few years. So, my name is David, from owner of Love, Peace and Grilled Cheese. I believe you guys were presented with an event that we're proposing for September 7th, an event at the City Beach. I'm gonna go over that with you. I don't believe you got our proposal itself. So the concept of what we're trying to do is just basically create something that's gonna bring all genres together, all people, all different cultures. What we're seeing a lot right now is, as Plattsburgh has been growing over the last few years, you see a lot of different cultures through food, through music, through art. This is just kind of our hope, is to get everybody together to celebrate that. For us personally, with Love, Peace and Grilled Cheese, our culture is kind of based in a music genre, which is kind of the new age hippie. It's love, peace, and unity. So we just want to take that, push that forward, bring in some local vendors, local artists, try to start to appeal to outside of the community as well. I've bridged some pretty good connections with Burlington, with the food trucks, try to get some music from there, some other food, try to get things moving this way as well, as instead of people just going over there all the time. So my colleagues, Corporate Looks, have worked on a couple events in Brooklyn and in Philadelphia. They're a pretty new company. They've been around for about 1.5 years. They do large productions. So our hope is to get, a big stage, some big sound, some big lights. At the same time, have community space within what we're doing, some quieter spaces so people can come together, enjoy food, enjoy each other, talk, with vendors as well. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Any questions? No. Oh.
Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to address the council on any topic? Seeing none, I do not have any special recommendations or correspondence from special committees. I'll report that the payrolls for the various city departments, the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending June 26, 2024, in the amount of $621,362.42. I'll also report the audit of claims approved by the council for the weeks ending June 28th, 2024 in the amount of $1,415,229.19 and July 5th, 2024 in the amount of $329,801.81. For the record, items 6.1 through 6.4 have been provided to council. Those are the various city department reports. I'll now move on to liaison reports. Plattsburgh Public Library, Councilor Manette.
I have nothing to report.
Climate Smart Task Force, Councilors Talon and or Avery.
I have nothing to report.
I believe the climate task force will be having a presence at the Mayor's Cup this Saturday.
Thank you.
And the next meeting is July 17th at 5 o'clock at the Plattsburgh Public Library.
Thank you. Ms. Carlin, will you please read the titles of the resolution to be acted upon?
Item 7.136, authorized creation of the Plattsburgh City Campus Coalition.
Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second by Councilor Avery. Discussion. I'm sorry.
I know that this has been in the works for a while, so, and you asked that I think you asked that it be delayed so that, Councilor Manette could be here. Did you want to, speak to
Yeah,
the resolution
Yeah, I want to just highlight, this is something that's been in the works for some time, and thanks for council for the patience. Thank Councilor Moore for putting the idea and having a long conversation, and Councilor Monette signed up to be the liaison, and then Dean for helping to write this. The SUNY partnership is an incredible stakeholder that we need to formalize and support. And I think it would be a great benefit to the city and SUNY to hear each other as an advisory role, not necessarily dictating in anything. I know that was a clear piece, so I hope it receives council support. So thank you, Councilor Gibbs, for bringing that up.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Item 7.137, authorized change order 001, City Hall roof renovation general construction.
Motion by Councilor Gibbs, second. Councilor Manette, discussion? Roll call.
Council Vaughn,
Yes.
Councilor Avery.
Yes.
Council Gibbs.
yes.
Council Talon.
Yes.
Council Manette.
Yes.
Council Moore.
Yes.
Carried.
Item 7.138, authorized renewal of the city's property casualty and liability insurance coverage.
Motion. Councilor Gibbs, second. Councilor Avery, discussion.
Did we get quotes on these, or is this just the only one that we got? Usually we have like.
We had, our insurance agent check the market, and they only had one other quote that they could, even get considered from an old carrier that we had back in 2010, Trident Insurance. It's a member of the Argonaut Group. They said they couldn't touch this coverage for this cost. It's a 17% increase, unfortunately. 7% is due to the replacement cost of our own properties going up to 173 million. So the other 10% is just an indication of how bad the insurance market is. The reinsurance market is very difficult. I think it's left, reinsurers had left California and Florida because they can't afford to be there anymore. So it's a very difficult market, and I think we're lucky to get just a 10% increase at this point. If we were to go to other coverage, our cost would be probably 25% higher. Meaning other coverage from NYMER, New York State Municipal Insurance Reciprocal. One detriment to this coverage is we lost our downstream dam coverage, which I've been talking to Mike Stelton here about, and what we can do to restore that.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
That means if one of our dams fail, we don't have downstream dam coverage for losses.
Huh.
But you can see in the news every night, dams are failing. Insurance companies don't want to insure them. So if we have a risk of our dam, being other than a normal or low risk, we have a high risk dam, and me dam, they're saying we're not going to touch it. But we still have all of our other coverages in place. It's just a shame that the market is going in such a bad direction.
So I'm not the only one, right?
Huh?
So I'm not the only one.
No, there's too many catastrophes. If you lived in Florida or in California, good luck on your home insurance staying anywhere reasonable. It's 25-30% increases every year. So. So we did look around, our agent does look around, they try to get other participants and they've said that the municipal coverage carriers are drying up. People don't want them anymore. And a lot of that's not just to do with dams, it's public insurance, public
All kinds of things can happen, right?
police departments. And I mean, there's just so many things that insurance carriers don't want to cover anymore. Municipalities are becoming one of them. So, and our agent did write an analysis of that, sent it to the mayor. I hope he sent it along to you guys too.
Do we add that? Beth, do we include that?
I didn't see it.
We'll forward it over. I don't think we included
I'll
it.
get
Just
it.
supporting.
The analysis from Ken Gray at Marshall and Sterling.
me that package is in the.
Yeah, the email from him though analyzed what's going wrong with the market and the coverages. And the history with Marshall and Sterling and Houston Casualty Corp, which is now Tokyo Marine Houston Casualty. We've done pretty well to stay with them and stay covered. So. Not good news, but at least we're covered.
Not completely bad news.
Not completely bad news. That's a good one.
Thank you, Richard.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond? Yes. Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
Yes,
Carried.
Item 7.139, authorized capital project provision 2024 public service buildings, H 5111.01 South Acres Barn Roof.
Motion, Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Avery, discussion.
I just want to say, as this being my turf, this is a good thing. We can get that where we can use those restrooms. I mean, I have high hopes. I know maybe we can get the kids back in there to do crafts. I don't know. But I just think it's a really good thing. And especially for that end of the city, there is nothing else at that end that we have. So I'm hoping that all the counselors will see that we need that for the kids.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Bond? Yes. Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.140, authorize award design proposal, South Acres Barn Roof Project.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Bond, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond?
yes,
Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.141, approved contract to replace city gym lights.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Avery, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond? Yes. Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.142, award technical assistance RFP for New York Main Street NYMS grant.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Manette, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond? Yes. Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.143, approval of location change of beer garden for Mayor's Cup festivities, July 6, 2024.
Motion by Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Manette, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond? Yes. Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.144, approving and endorsing this application for New York State Home and Community Renewal for funding under the New York Main Street Technical Assistance Program.
Motion. Counselor Gibbs, second. Counselor Avery, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond? Yes. Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.145, budget adjustment water. fund.
Motion by Counselor Avery, second by Counselor Gibbs, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond? Yes. Counselor Avery?
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs?
Yes.
Counselor Talon?
Yes.
Counselor Manette?
Yes.
Counselor Moore?
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.146, approval of beer garden for music event at City Beach, September 7th, 2024.
Motion, Counselor Talon, second by Counselor Avery, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery.
Yes.
Counselor Gibb.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.147 travel request fire department.
Motion by Counselor Gibb, second. Counselor Avery, discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery.
Yes.
Counselor Gibb.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
yes,
Carried.
Item 7.148 adoption of local law P 4 of 2024, a local law adding chapter 177 harbor management to the city code of the city of Plattsburgh.
Motion. Motion by Counselor Manette, sorry. Second. Counselor Avery, discussion.
Well, I had multiple questions. Courtney, are you the person that is going to answer these? If I have questions, I see Alicia isn't here.
Yeah, it might be Dean.
Oh,
Might be an all hands on deck scenario.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think when this originally came up for vote, I was absent on the night of the vote. And it was reintroduced for the benefit of all councilors to be here. So, Alicia did reach out to me, but our schedules just couldn't coincide, and so I just was not possible for me to meet with her. So I made a list of some questions that I had about, the law. So, well, first of all, I think having a harbor management law is a great idea, but I have some questions. So my first question is under the list of definitions. So subsection 177-4 definitions and word usage, harbor manager.
Thank you. Hold tight, please.
Do you want me to wait until Beth?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
So under harbor manager, the definition, it states the community development department director or their designee will oversee the primary responsibility and authority for implementing all provisions of this chapter and coordinating enforcement. So does that mean that the CDO director is the harbor manager? Is that what this means?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now you are not, so you're the CDO director, but you are not the harbor manager. And so the passage of this law as it is would designate you de facto harbor manager on top of all of the other responsibilities in your office. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And just to clarify, this was a change in the law based on reaction from, I believe, Council Moore's comment and maybe some other councilors who wanted further clarification as to who would specifically do those duties and confirm it would be a full-time employee, a new employee that was hired to do these duties. And we had a discussion to compare the city marina to Baltimore, because there was that recent catastrophe in Baltimore at the time that this isn't a commercial port with thousands of ships going through, it's a relatively small marina.
so it's my understanding that the passage of the law is intended to strengthen our grant application as part of the LRAP package. Is that correct?
It will be one of the final steps in passing the LRAP, which then completes that entire process, that entire plan. Which will serve lots of different purposes, obviously, and helpful in the city, one of them being the application for future grant.
Okay,
So to
So-
hit on that too, sorry, the LRAP was adopted
yes.
several weeks ago. This was not adopted, so essentially we have an LRAP without the enforcement mechanism. So this is a necessary element to enforce the LRAP, but it's not a direct component of the LRAP.
okay. So my question then is, if this harbor management plan were adopted, but there were no harbor manager, because it says in other places in this document that in the absence of a harbor manager, the enforcement would fall upon building inspector's office. We have a full and robust building inspector's office. It also references utilizing peace officers. So in other words, other law enforcement agencies to enforce all these particular aspects. I'll get to that in a minute. Could the law be adopted without the harbor manager? And would that still serve the purpose of, now we have a harbor management law. We don't specify we have a harbor manager because inside the document it states that the building inspector can do that work. Could that be removed from this law and still serve its necessary purpose?
So I'm gonna jump in again, I know you're.
Yeah, well, I'm asking for, I mean, I don't know what to look at, but
Sorry, so this.
do you understand the question I'm asking
Yeah,
me?
the template of this law came directly from New York State, so DOS has their hands intimately involved with the LRAP program. And this was the initial template of this law came from them. So a harbor manager is necessary, but we need to distinguish an on-site marina operator. Right now, we have a third-party operator managing our marina. This harbor manager position is a necessary element. New York State needs it, wants it, they don't care whose title is, so they were okay with the change from, I forget the first variation on who that individual was, but they were fine with having a designee in that place, a placeholder. As far as, so that was my attempt to answer the question that yes, it's a necessary element for New York State.
So having a harbor manager is necessary.
Having a position of harbor managers, a necessary element. Yes.
Okay, does it have to be the CDO director?
No, that's what I just said. They're okay with a department head, full-time employee, of a dual department head. It's New York State is okay with that.
So if I have a problem with heaping your plate.
Yeah.
I do. I don't have a problem with this. But that component of it is troublesome to me because if we're saying that we need a harbor manager, but it doesn't have to be you, the harbor manager could actually be the code enforcement individual, the building inspector's office. And this is enforcement of city code.
The first version was, the Mary just clarified, the first version of this law that was brought up a few weeks ago had the building inspector in that.
She wasn't here.
I wasn't here.
Well, I understand that, but I also know that Alicia tried to reach out, and I know that you just
Yes,
said that you
yes, our
couldn't.
schedules just could not,
But I believe Alicia reached out to all of the counselors to have this same conversation.
right, and I just could not
Okay.
make time in my schedule for it. So,
And I can provide too, I think that, in the conversations that I've had with Alicia, the intention behind that also was to find a position maybe that was operating most closely to some of the activities at the marina. So right now as the CDO director, I do oversee the relationship that the city has with the third party marina operator. And a lot of my role as CDO director also incorporates elements of recreation as well. And so I think that there was an element there of trying to find a likeness in things that the position is already overseeing and focused on with, based on feedback from the last meeting.
so, I have a civil service question. I don't know if that's something you can answer. Dean, I won't ask you because I'm sure the civil service, unless you know the answer. Does civil service already have this job description, or is this something we would need to write and then submit it to civil service, harbor manager?
Sitting here, I.
You don't know.
Yeah.
Can I add to that as well, just again, so my understanding of this is also that it functions similarly to some of the other kind of appointed pieces within the city, like,
Management appointments.
yeah, sort of like help me out here, like, there's a sexual harassment designee officer or a fair housing authority
Yes.
officer?
Well, records officer,
Yeah.
ADA officer.
Right, and so that, I think that from my understanding is kind of where this is being modeled. Where there isn't like a full-on position description for that, but it's just being designated as part of the oversight of this particular director's role because of the connection that this director has to currently recreational initiatives, the marina, overseeing that third party relationship, et cetera.
Along the same lines,
I think that's where
I ask for clarification, recognizing Councilor Gibbs and I were not here at that meeting, but from my conversation with Alicia and meeting with her, it was council's recommendation to go to CDO. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay,
Again,
So it was-
sorry, Counselor, the original language was putting it in code enforcement and made the most, well, according to the work that was done leading up to the introduction of this local law, it did make the most sense to leave it with code enforcement. Because they are a public safety entity, if you will, or quasi public safety entity. But through conversations Alicia had with a number of counselors, that's when it was shifted over to CDO. Again, to garner support, admittedly, But that seemed to be where most people felt more comfortable with that. The designation landing, not necessarily, again, it's not a job title, it is a designation for enforcement.
And I appreciate that. I think that helps explain, again,
Yes.
both of us missing, but also our body recommended that. I don't want to
Correct.
look silly.
So.
Thank you, Counselor Avery.
And just one final point, we have the flexibility embedded into the law to say or they're designated, so in the event Courtney, whoever CDO directors runs over, they would have the flexibility to add, to designate another city official.
So would the job title designation, would that be done through a council resolution? Or how would we know?
It's that, just to be clear, this is not a title.
No,
or
I
it's
know.
not an appointment.
No, I know that.
So it would necessarily just be like Courtney would say, okay, at this time, I'm going to designate this officer, this person to act in that function.
Okay, that answers quite a few
Yeah.
questions, actually. And I just have one final question, or actually two final. So the work that is referenced here, so powers and duties. So for example, create docks and mooring permit system, establish a permanent management system, the permit applications procedures. These are things that you are already doing in your office? Or someone in your office is doing them? I guess that's how I should ask it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and again, granted, I started the role in November, but part of that was overseeing the renewal of the contract with third party operator who would then be doing a lot of those things, but making sure that that contract was in alignment with, city initiatives and city code and, making sure that everything was legal in that sense, and then managing that relationship in terms of concerns and issues. Some of that management also gets directed through Public Works because they're the folks that will go out there and address certain issues, maybe that are happening, but yeah, there's a lot of management. Role sounds a lot more, not to play myself up or anything, I'm not doing a ton, but it's a component of working with the marina operator right now, to oversee that is the work of the senior director. Right?
So will that marina operator, when the contract comes up for renewal, will we eliminate that contract? And will that be absorbed by your responsibilities, or will that stay in place? Because you need somebody to manage the marina itself.
Yeah, so we renewed the contract for a year, and so, when the contract comes back up for renewal, we'll be having a conversation, I think, as a CEO office, a mayoral office, to decide, are we the city going to take over the management of our own marina, like we have done in the past, or will we work with a third party operator, like we're doing right now, to oversee the management of it, and that will have to come at contract renewal time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dean and Courtney, because you answered my questions, and I wasn't sure how I was going to vote tonight because I didn't understand this, and now I do, so I support this. Thank you.
Yeah, to be sure, I don't think it's gonna be a super heavy lift. It's not gonna be a whole, 20 hours a week or something, it's.
You're not patrolling the
I don't
coastline
think so.
in a boat with your.
Yes, if you have to patrol the coastline, you get a hat.
Not the skipper's hat.
Got volunteers out here.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, any further discussion on this item? Roll call.
Counselor Bond,
Yes.
Counselor Avery.
Yes.
Counselor Gibbs.
Yes.
Counselor Talon.
Yes.
Counselor Manette.
Yes.
Counselor Moore.
Yes,
Carried. There is no executive session tonight. Is there any new business to come before this council?
Mayor, I know you sent an email regarding the Charter Commission from our Monday meeting.
Yes.
Could you expand on that? I know there was an email sent a few minutes
Yes.
before the meeting.
Yeah.
Because my understanding was from our meeting that the council was gonna appoint Charter Commission, or is it gonna be a mayoral appointment?
I believe that you all asked for a official commission to be created. I'm soliciting member appointments based on the conversation for the desire to have a representation across the city. And so that's what I was looking for, yes.
This is for the city manager?
Correct. Based on the conversation we had Monday, rather than move forward with trying to put together the item, the local law for announce the local law on the 18th for August 1st approval. it sounded like it sounded like there would be a preference to do a commission rather than go through the other mechanism of introducing a local law by council.
So if you're going to be assembling a charter commission, how many members will there be?
There has to be no less than 9 and no more than 15.
So are you going to place a notice in the paper and ask interested members to contact their counselors?
Well, no, in the email, I asked for you all to solicit.
You want us to find somebody?
As the same time that, again, in the email, we will do the same thing.
So if you are looking for a charter commission to be formed, what will be the span of time that they'll be working? From when until when?
As per the rule, it has to be no more than 2 general election cycles.
No. How long will the charter commission be working?
Oh, well, until whenever the work is done, I guess. I don't have a timeline for when they'll complete that work.
I would like to see a timeline of when you are hoping this charter commission will complete its work and their because I believe that will have to be part of the official filing.
Again, it has to be, it doesn't have to be part of the official initial filing, but they have to complete their work within 2 general election cycles. It cannot go past the general election of 2025.
When, excuse me, so you're looking for names no later than July 19th?
Yes, that's about 2.5 weeks from now.
So just one name per counselor?
Or 3 or 5 names, you know, at that point, as long as we can build a team of no more than 15, and you know, that's the rule.
So
It's everybody sitting at this table, please go and find 1 or 2 people that can participate in this. They haven't got to live in the city, and again, we're looking, based on the conversation, we're looking to create an official charter commission with members of the public that can represent the city as a whole, from each ward, if ideally. And again, I'm not putting the onus on just the council to find counselors to find members. It's the entire council to find members. My office, you all will post, you know, we'll do a press release updating on the new approach. We'll do social campaigns. We'll find, you know, people that way, one way or the other, you know, again.
Interesting.
Sorry?
That's interesting.
What's interesting?
What? I'm just reading the email.
Okay, well, this is what you all asked for. Am I incorrect?
You are correct.
I haven't read it yet.
I'm just reiterating what we talked about on Monday. Okay. So I'm making sure that my office and you all are on the same page with this. So then when we go to create a charter commission with members of the community that you recommended, then everybody's on the same page here. Okay. Okay, awesome. Counselor, to answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, I get this part. Yeah, I'm doing this part. Any other new business? Yeah.
It's about the Prime project.
Yes.
I know this is like. But when we received your memo.
Yes.
That the appeal was abandoned, we read in the paper that there is a new project in the works. And since we have not been involved in the decision of that project, can you tell me what it is? Was there an RFP sent out?
We don't know, we don't have the exact details of the project, again, because we are aware or were made aware that the original project was being abandoned by the developer. It was our obligation to inform New York State court system that there's a significant or substantial change to the project. We can no longer participate in the appeal process because of that.
So you don't know?
We don't have the details. I mean, like anecdotally, we talk, you know, about a change of the project. There's a housing piece to it. Again, we don't have all the details to it. We have invited the developer to come and talk about that with the council.
Okay.
So when y'all get the information, we'll get the information at the same time.
A developer or the developer?
Prime Plattsburgh LLC is going to be, yeah, of course, I shouldn't say of course.
Yeah.
Yes, they are the developer that's interested in coming back. But again, we don't have details of the project. And I know I'm reiterating myself here, when they do come back and we ask them to come back, once they are ready, they'll present a project and everybody's gonna get the information at the same time. We don't have all the details of the project.
Awesome.
And is ESD still committing $4 million to them?
That is our understanding based on the couple conversations we've had with the developer and with ESD is that there's still that money that is allocated directly to that developer for this project. And I think, you know, I'm more saying this for everybody else, unless you're not familiar with it. I don't want to not trying to educate you on something you might already know. That $4 million was not, is not being held by the city of Plattsburgh. This is a contract directly between New York State and the developer. That money never came to the city of Plattsburgh. It's not owned by the city of Plattsburgh. It's not held by the city of Plattsburgh. It is held by the state, and the contract for development is directly between the developer and ESD themselves.
So is the proposed site still on the Durkee Street?
It's the same proposed site. There's no change to the site. If anything, there might be some, if anything, the work that we did leading up to leading up to today, creates a very distinct line between the city of Plattsburgh and the developer where there wasn't one before. So we've done, you know, this council, and I appreciate the work that this council has done significant work to clean that up and to make sure that any project specifically there, but hopefully any project moving forward forever in the city where it does include city-owned property, that the city does not become a co-developer or some type of co-applicant for a development project. And we've done that cleanup down here at Durkee Street so that moving forward, it's a very clean transaction.
Right.
So any other new business, Councilor Talon? You're just right on the edge of your seat.
Well, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy and safe 4th of July. And on that note, we're gonna talk about fireworks. So just a reminder that there are some out here in our area that suffer a great deal of post-traumatic stress disorder. Some are veterans, and fireworks, just if they're going off at all hours of the night, that is a terrible thing for them. I've got a friend who he has to wear noise canceling headphones and not even look out his window because it just takes him right back to the Middle East. So I just ask for more sensitivity for some of these people, and of course, more sensitivity for the dogs of our city. So thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'll do a notice of public hearing for CDBG Violet's Home Grant. The city of Plattsburgh will hold a public hearing on Thursday, July 18th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. in the Common Council Chambers at 41 City Hall Place, Plattsburgh, New York, for the purpose of hearing public comments on the city of Plattsburgh's current community development block grant CDBG project number 927 ED 972-21. The Violet's Home project, which was awarded $750,000. The CDBG program is administered by the New York State Office of Community Renewal, OCR, and provides resources to eligible local governments for housing, economic development, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning activities with the principal purpose of benefiting low, moderate income persons. The hearing will provide further information on the progress of the ongoing CDBG project. Comments related to the effectiveness of the administration of the CDBG project will also be received at this time. The hearing is being conducted pursuant to section 570.486 subpart 1 of the CFR and is in compliance with the requirements of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. The Common Council Chambers is accessible to persons with disabilities. If special accommodations are needed for persons with disabilities, those with hearing impairments, or those in need of translation for English, those individuals should contact Courtney Meisenheimer at cdo@cityofplattsburgh-ny.gov or 518-563-7642 at least 1 week in advance of the hearing date to allow for necessary arrangement. Written comments may also be submitted to the Office of Community Development. Attention, Courtney Meisenheimer at cdo@cityofplattsburgh-ny.gov until Friday, July 19th, 2024. The public hearing date is set for Thursday, July 18th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn. Councilor Bond, second by Councilor Gibbs, all in favor.
Aye.
Thanks, folks.